Because
but you see what
because
he's saying, which is the fact, what it ends up with for us as a country is that we practically have nothing happening anywhere. That's where
we're having lots of things happening, but
I mean,
but there's no
achievement.
Yes, there's no aggregation.
We are paying 1 million people to do practically nothing. Because as for emoluments,
nearly 1 million people.
That's only symbolism.
Right.
I use the figure not to represent anything, so to speak. So you have everybody is paid, but the resources to do the work for which they are paid are not there.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's like you have it sitting here, and then you're being paid, and then you don't have your transmitters working.
Good.
So you're paid, you produce, but you're not receiving your audience, so you can't sell your programs.
So you're just doing it in vacuum. The end result not being measured.
In many instances, that's what is happening. I would have preferred that we focused. In the next 4 years, we're going to invest in agric, education, and road infrastructure. It doesn't mean the others will stop.
Well, that's what we're talking outside the whole debate, that we need a plan. A plan that will be binding on everybody, or partially binding, so to speak. But the good thing about it is that for all these people we're talking about, both those in the legislature and the executive, many of them are elected. For example, the head of the executive is elected. He's a president. And we know that we embarked on an amendment of the Constitution, so to speak. And as a result of that, we collated a lot of views of the majority of the citizenry. We came to a certain conclusion that we needed to be electing, well, those who headed metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. Well, the white paper from the presidency ultimately said 5 would rather be recommended and they will be voted for, ultimately. But what's the advantage of voting for, let's say, a mayor or somebody who is heading a municipal or district assembly? I have to ask you.
Well, the advantage purely is that people have a say in governance. They have a say in how their resources are managed, and their elected mayor is responsible to them. He's accountable to them, because if he's unable to discharge the duties or the expectations of the electorate, and he comes again, naturally, they'll boot him out. So he comes to them with a program, how he'll manage the city or the district, and based upon his programs and policies, they vote for him. If he's unable to perform, they kick him out. So he's accountable. And it's a big advantage. It's a very big advantage that the people have a choice who administers the issues of the district or the city. And at the end of the day, that person will be accountable to them.
Okay. For example, in the UK, they have a cities minister. He said that the benefits are cities benefit from election, a strong, visible leadership, and international standards that are maintained in the administration of those cities. And he talked about UK, Birmingham, and things like that. Okay. At the end of the day, you are elected, but we have an overall elected executive. So what happens? You are elected, and you're going to follow through the plans of the elected executive? Or how is it done? Because I'm asking this because of our peculiar situation we find ourselves.
Right.
Because they're more developed. You see, they don't need to build new bridges all the time.
The argument people make is that we're one unitary state, so we should have one program. But in actual fact, you and I know, if you live in the localities, you don't feel your president there. You don't feel even your regional minister.
So you need a symbol?
Not just a symbol, an effective leader whose loyalty is to the people who voted for him.
Practicalize it for me. Let's say the people of Bekwai. Yes. Bekwai has gotten to the standard of, let's say, Accra is a metropolitan area with all the amenities that we want. Of course, struggling just like Accra, but enough to say we can estimate this is how much revenue we can collect. So we elect you as the mayor. What happens?
Yes.
But you have a government in there. So what happens?
The government in there did not appoint me.
The people elected.
The people here elected me. That's where your loyalty is to the people who voted you. Your accountability is to them. So you have to demonstrate to them that these are the resources available to us. This is how we have used it, and it is in your interest. Or otherwise, they sack you. You know, so you take responsibility for what is there, what happens there. Currently, what we have is that every excuse is, oh, the president didn't do this. The regional minister hasn't done that. The MP hasn't done that. The MC, people don't even know that the MC is the one who manages the resources for development in the community. They will go past the MC and come to you to complain about their road.
You mean the MP?
Yes. You know, so, and then because of that, there's over-reliance on resources from central government. And they do very little about local resources.
Because they are not accountable to the people. It's only the president who tends to.
I tell you,
okay,
if we're doing a true audit of the internally generated fund, you'll be amazed. 90% of that money is used on
personalities,
on the personnel there.
Okay. Mr. Martin, as you add to that,
yes,
how can we convince ourselves, please, you want to make a comment in addition to that. How can we convince ourselves that we take a place like, let's say, I like using Ashaiman because I grew up over there.
Okay.
And so
you're a mosquito boy.
Okay. Yeah, yes. So we elect, let's say, a chief executive of Ashaiman, and well, forget about the party coloration or whatever. Yeah. But we elect him. Well, we have a central government that has its plans. He also announces a plan. Is that it? Well, I'm being voted for because I have this grand plan. This is how I'm going to raise revenue and taxes to do that. Is that it?
Well, let me quickly come to the issue. You cited the issue of UK, where the council is elected and the mayor is also elected. I think the difference there is that the council is in charge of legislation, making
local one.
It's the same thing. We have presiding members.
Sure, the local legislation, and the mayor is exercising the executive power. So, you know, even though he is part of the council, the functions are distinct from each other. Now, coming to your second issue, which is
what he tells the people before he gets
right.
What his plans will be.
The mayor goes to seek the mandate of the people based upon the philosophy and manifesto of his political party. As much as possible, you don't find mayors going independent. They are aligned. And therefore, if
as we find in the US and the UK.
Yes. So you are also using the manifesto or the programs of your political party to say that if I am elected, this is what I'm going to do, using local resources, using mobilizing the people so that we prosecute the programs and policies that will benefit or will be in the interest of the local people. It is difficult for a mayor to say that this is what I am going to do.
Why not?
Why not? Because I'm not seeking election as an independent candidate. I'm going on a ticket of my party.
Well, I do understand that. That precisely brings us to the point where, let's say we practicalize it, we have the NDC in power, but well, we take a city like Kumasi. Definitely, the mayor,
my constituency,
or your constituent, the mayor will be an MPP person.
Yes.
If the mayor is an MPP person, how does that digress from how the agenda setting will be from the mainstream political party that is in power and heading the executive?
You see,
because I'm asking this because Professor Kwame Nahoy, I hear he's one of the brains behind all this structure we have, local government assemblies and things like that. He is saying that there will be chaos.
Why would there be chaos? I don't agree. You see, when we're talking about winner takes all, what does it mean? What it means is that because you win the executive presidency, with 51% or 50.3%, as in this case, you are in charge of everything over the 49.7 who didn't vote for you. Okay? But in this case, what you get is that the localities have opportunity to own their districts, their communities. One, their central government runs by law. The budget is passed into a law, so it binds everybody. Currently, even under this system, the localities are run by their bylaws, independent of the central, so that they will not be in conflict with the central national laws passed by Parliament. So it will not detract from it in any way. What policy is government implementing that is affecting the people of Bekwai? As for the central government monetary policies, the Bekwai Assembly plays no role in it or its implementation. What the Bekwai Assembly is supposed to do is to mobilize resources, take what is coming from central government, their common fund, and use that to implement their programs there. Over down there, it is not district or regional policies, it's local. My committee, at that time, Babing was there. Yes, we went to Stuttgart. And we met with the districts, the district of Mosbach. They said, we have decided that the channel which links us to the sea is so small. We want to extend it. And so we are going to expand our taxes. We have studied the whole environment. We see that the area we are left with are pets. So we'll tax you if you have a cat. You pay a tax on your dog. You pay double or 3 times the tax on a horse. And we have done the calculation to bring us so much money. With that money, we will be able to raise this a year. So we will raise the bond for 5 years and we'll finish and pay. That is that locality. They have their hospitals, which government, they raised their loans to build and manage. They took us to the hospital. Now, these are things that we can easily do.
We can easily do from where?
Right.
From the local level.
This is my point of digression.
Okay. Yes.
This is my point of digression. If you just allow me one minute. Over there, they have the power to levy, to impose taxes and whatnot.
Why not?
My colleague just quoted Article 108. The Local Government Act of Ghana does not include imposition of taxes. They can only...
We can do amendments.
We call them rates. Rates. But it's the same thing, except that, okay, the sources of revenue, what they call taxes.
And these ones are approved by their assemblies.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as we have in the councils.
Assemblies. It's the same thing as
Are you telling me you are going to impose rates and levies so as to put up a hospital, a bridge in my constituency?
Kofi, we can easily do it.
Where?
Okay, let me
answer. See, I agree that some of the districts are not financially.
I'm just reading this. I was reading this before I came. In The Guardian of the UK published, it talks about the elected mayors, published May 8, 2014, and it says that they should have the power to take decisions on planning, strategically, on transport, employment, economic development, make sure that they harness the business and entrepreneurial opportunities in the area to control tax increment and finance schemes, and make sure they are responsible for developing a business plan to take forward the tax increment finance initiatives of the cities, health policy, policing, etc. Now, if we've been practicing this since the late 80s, we say decentralization. If we move on to the next step of making sure that we tend to delineate what the local assemblies will be responsible for, the elected mayors will be responsible for, and what
the local government,
the national executive also will be responsible for. Just like the way we find in the federal system, where the federal budget is huge, but then there's a certain responsibility to on the states. And things like that. Can't we do the same thing?
No, already. Already. Each district assembly has a development plan. And they have indicated how they will finance it. Each district assembly, they have indicated how they will finance it. Except that their sources of funding heavily dependent on common fund. Now, the common fund will not be taken away. it will still be there. But then you will be energized now because you take full responsibility to ensure that your rates are collected. Currently, nobody collects any rates.
You'll be more proactive, you say?
That's the point. Apart from a Sherman district municipality where I saw they have the total data of all the houses. And so the city...
When did they start doing that?
I don't know when, but we met there one day last year and I was amazed.
Right. Yep. Then the MC is doing well.
Right. On their computer, everything is there, every house. So they deliver the letters for property rates and they indicate those that have paid and those that have not paid. Ashaman has done it. Everybody. Ashaman, I'm telling you. If you go there, you'll be amazed. I was so happy.
You should be proud of your...
Yeah. You know, sitting at the office, they can tell. If you come to Bekwa, it's not as densely populated as Ashaman. So it might be much easier to do the thing. But my house at Bekwa, nobody has come to ask for property rate in the last 5-6 years. Here in Accra, I've lived here 6 years. Nobody has served me notice of property rates. It is because nobody's responsible for anything.
Yes. No responsibility is being exerted from anybody. Nobody has come to stand on a platform or on any media platform and say, elect me because this is what I plan doing for you.
Yes. You spoke about the primary responsibility of the local government area, planning and execution. Under the 1988 program, decentralization, local government decentralization policy. If we are to access it today, we will identify the greatest inhibitions towards successful decentralization to be financing. We have decentralized, but how much of finance or financial issues has also been decentralized?
Because there's no proactiveness. Nobody's responsible. We're not proactive enough and dependent on the central government. That's exactly what Joe Wise is saying.
That's exactly what Joe Wise is saying. And I'm saying that, yes, I subscribe to full decentralization. The local government must be able to take charge of its affairs. But then, let us tread cautiously. Again, why? Because all the districts are not the same.
Their economy.
Our local economies are not the same. He's talking...
And so you have citizens comparing one district to the other.
Orange and apples. Look at houses in certain communities.
But wouldn't they understand that we're not the same as in Accra or we're not the same as in Bodrias?
So the resources of my district are not the same as the resources of Accra, AMA. True. And therefore, if Accra is being expected to take policing, for example, if policing should be added to the responsibility of AMA, it may be because Accra has bigger resources. Yeah. It doesn't mean that policing must be transferred to Yilokrobo at the same time. So this is where I found some wisdom in the CRC report on this issue of election of MCEs. We must not wholesale say that we are electing all of them. It says metropolitan assemblies, full election of mayors. Municipal authorities, let us recommend and shortlist 3 people by the Public Services Commission, then we vote on them, and the district assemblies, full appointments. You know, so there should be a program gradually moving towards total devolution of power from the center to the local area. That is my beef.
Well,
I'm thinking it should engender development rather.
I totally agree with you when it comes to viability of some of the districts we created. Many of them we created with political considerations rather than viability, right? So the economic circumstances are not the same. But what it means is that once the officers are elected, then the national support to them should not be the same. But it should not take away from the people.
So we need to do an assessment of the strength.
If I had my own way, I'll remove AMA, TMA, KMA, Takrade. I'll remove them from Common Fund. They don't need it. if they were to raise money to fund themselves, they would be more proactive. And then I'll add it to a place like such a totally deprived.
Okay.
Right? So instead of giving 5 billion a year to KMA, add it to what such a farm place will get so they can catch up in the...
My last point, because my time is up.
Yes.
The thing is, I would have wanted us to have extra 30 minutes.
Yes.
You know, for example, we have the University of Ghana.
Yes.
They went around and I think they went to get some money somewhere, some credit to do...
Facility.
Yes. Well, they got some facilities.
Yes.
They entered into some actionable activities and they have a certain timeline for which they hope to recruit and all that. If let's say we had a mayor who has seen the potential of his community, city for example, or town, and knows that this is the facility I can't get wherever I can get it, but I can pay back, and why not? It becomes a source for which to undertake development in certain area, to meet his own agenda, is not it?
Right.
It's all about proactiveness.
Yeah. GIMPA built all their structures and
on loans.
From,
yeah.
And we are paying because we are using the facilities.
Yes.
You know, it is the center not willing to... We still want to appoint...
I think the local assemblies, they have the capacity to raise facilities for such an infrastructure.
But so far we've never had an assembly go to do that. It's not a novelty. So.
Well, AMA did it, and
fell into trouble.
Fell into big trouble. You know, the waste disposal.
Yeah, but they should have done it well. It's all about management, isn't it? And paying back.
And paying back.
Okay.
And on time. Right. And that is utilizing those resources effectively or judiciously so that you can derive the necessary returns to repay back.
Wow.
If you just obtain the facility and you didn't use it judiciously, you end up embarrassing the entire state.
I get your point.
$1 million from DVLA from, at that time, Trust Bank to buy the new head office. And we programmed, we will pay back in this period.
Are you paying back?
We have.
Okay.
I left, but the systems were in place. The new driver license card, we built it with credit.
The one on Switchback Road?
Yes.
Okay, good. Great work. You didn't tell us that. That's part of your achievement. We'll put it down when you're going to be re-elected by the people of Bekwai. And thanks for joining me. It's been a great insight. I wish that we had 2 hours to discuss this. But I think it won't be bad at all if we get our people elected, for example. Well, so the subject has been the election of MMDCEs and whether we need to be thinking about going towards that very tangent. The point is, when you're in a position, it's always good to be saying the right things. When you're in government, you don't tend to say the right things. Jose Usujo Wise is a ranking member, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, but he's a member of Parliament for Bekwai. He is standing on the ticket of the MPP. He's actually an MPP stronghold. Magnus... Re-election. Okay. Magnus Kofia Mwate is a chairman for the committee, chairman legal and parliamentary affairs, and he's also a member of parliament for Yellow Crow. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen.